What's up YouTube? This is Russell from Russell's Reef coming to you with episode 13 of the Waterbox 70.3 build. This episode we're going to go over green hair algae issues that I've been dealing with and what I've been doing to try to kind of combat that and keep it at bay. Also, we'll take a look at some of the new frags I picked up at Reef POLLOZA this year. So stick around, should be a good show.
So over the past, I'd say 3 or 4 weeks, I've been dealing with a little bit of an algae outbreak. I've wanted to keep the nutrients in the tank high with the addition of the new fish, the tang back there, and just all the new corals. I wanted to make sure that there were enough nutrients in the tank to support all the new frags that I picked up. So I've been overfeeding a lot, and to be honest, my tank hasn't been that great at exporting phosphates, so I started to do something about it. So to be honest, green hair algae really doesn't bother me much, so I'm not too worried about it, but it has gotten to the point where it's a pretty big eyesore. It looks especially bad in these videos because these videos are taken with all whites, so with the blues on, it doesn't look nearly as bad. And another reason why it looks bad is because I've let it go for the last 3 or 4 weeks. That's kind of part of my plan. So what I'm going to do is add some more cleanup crew, because I think that is part of it. My cleanup crew is just a little behind the algae. So I'm gonna add about 5 TROCHUS snails. And then I'm also going to do something to limit the phosphate in my tank. So the phosphate in my tank has been running at about 0.25, which is pretty high. To be honest, it doesn't really bother me running it like that, but once the algae takes off, I definitely have to do something about it. So what my plan is I'm gonna run some GFO, ROAPHOS to be exact. I'm gonna run about 1/3 of the recommended amount just in the sump, no reactor, so it'll just be in the sump, so I'm hoping it won't be too abrupt on the system. I just need to make sure that the phosphate isn't completely stripped of the system just like that, because that would be bad for all my corals, especially my SPS. So I really want to take it slow and make sure that nothing drastic happens. So I'm gonna keep the ROAPHOS in the system, and then after about a week, I'm gonna manually remove all of the hair algae. So here we are a week later with the ROAPHOS running, and then I did remove a little bit of the hair algae. I definitely could have done a better job manually removing it, but as you can see, there's a big difference in the tank. Mainly the sand bed is starting to clean up, which is awesome. Another thing that you'll notice is all my SPS are still colored up, so that's a good sign. As far as water chemistry goes, my phosphate was about 0.25 when I measured it. I used the Saliford test kit, so it's kind of hard for me to tell exactly where it is. But after running it, I think I'm at about 0.05. So still detectable phosphates, which is a good sign, but much lower, which is also a good sign. Another thing I noticed after running the ROAPHOS for about a week is I was able to remove the hair algae much easier. So that made cleaning up the tank a lot easier, just because it seemed like the hair algae was starving out a little bit or just didn't have as strong a foothold thanks to the lack of phosphate in the system. So you could probably watch about 100 videos on YouTube about how to remove green hair algae from your tank, and they all basically say the same thing. Step 1, just limit your phosphate using GFO or a phosphate E, lanthanum chloride or something. Removing phosphate from your system is one of the easiest things you can do. You just have to be careful that you don't overdo it and strip the system clean. The second step would be manually removing all the green hair algae in the tank, just plucking it out with your hands. And then the third step would just be adding a cleanup crew or beefing up your cleanup crew. And then that should take care of your issue in 99% of the cases. So that's basically my plan for removing the green hair algae. The only thing that I'm really concerned about would be stripping the system completely of phosphates, but I'm taking it super slow, so hopefully everything will be fine. As you can see, the system already looks way better. So now that we talked about green hair algae, I just want to do a quick tank tour so I can show you guys a couple of things I picked up from POLLOZA, which was this last weekend. There were a ton of vendors. My favorite would probably be coral collectors. I'd recommend you check out their website if you're looking for SPS, because they had some amazing pieces. Definitely the highlight of the show for me. A couple other cool booths would be BRS doing some $25 gift cards if you did a treasure hunt, and Marine Depot was also giving away some cool stuff. Overall, it was a pretty cool show. Definitely tons of coral, tons of stuff that you'd never see. I went on Saturday, so the deals weren't too great, but there was definitely some amazing pieces there. So I'd recommend, if you're ever in the area for one of these conventions, check it out. You'll definitely find some cool stuff. And if you go on the last day, you'll probably find some stuff for pretty cheap. These pink diamond-zos right in the middle. They are pretty cool. Nice and pink with green skirts. I like them. Not too bad. As you can see, the Zo rock in the middle is really taken off. I think that is probably the place in my tank where the Zos are the happiest and growing the fastest. Over here, if you looked all the way to the left, I have those Nuke Greens. Those are not regular Nuke Greens. They actually look that green in regular white light, so they're really cool. I got a Garf Bonsai over there. I got this, I don't know what it is. If you see the white one with the green polyps, it completely bleached out on me, so we'll see if that one comes back. On the front rock are my two favorite pieces. One is Maleficent, and the blue one is Blueberry Fields. On the top left is Pink Planet. I also got that green Slimer up there. And then, as you can see, my bubblegum Digi's growing pretty good. And then, let's see what else we got. Just the Zoroark. Everything's doing all right, except for the purple monsters. They've been struggling. I think there's a bit too much flow there, so they're not really loving it. Then I got that branching Cyphastria over there. It looks really cool underneath the blues, but during the daylight it's kind of blah. Let's see, so that's about it. Another coral I did pick up was a GONIPORA, which is awesome. If you'll notice in the front, it's not doing so hot. So I was up in the middle of the night and looking at the tank, and I noticed that my peppermint shrimp, which I know has been eating some of my zoas, was picking at it. So he's got a taste for GONIPORA and zoas, so I'm gonna have to figure out a way to try to catch that guy and get him out of the tank, which will be fun. I also picked up that frogspawn that you see. So that's my first Euphyllia. I am pretty worried about the peppermint shrimp getting a hold of that guy, so I think tomorrow I'm gonna try to set a trap for him and get him out of the tank, because I know he is eating corals for sure. I've seen him eat it, and he probably killed the GONIPORA already, so hopefully he won't go after the frogspawn, but I'm gonna try to catch him ASAP, get him out of there. So overall, I think the tank is doing pretty good. The SPS are all holding their colors with the exception of the one guy that I bleached out. I think I left it in the Bayer dip for too long. But everything else looks pretty good, so I can't complain. One thing that is happening with my water chemistry is the calc finally is not able to keep up. So I am starting to dose 2-part. I'm not sure if this is just because I add all this SPS or because I started using some GFO. Probably a combination of both, but one day my alkalinity literally dropped 1 point while I was dosing, and it had been rock solid for a long time. So, well, that's all I got for today. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe.